Let's start. You're big on educational advocacy.
Yes, yes.
How did this whole sentiment and passion started for you?
It started around maybe like 2-3 years ago when I was even after I graduated from master's. I wanted to do more. I wanted to actually make an impact in my community and the school system, because I even noticed it even within high schools and in colleges too. Like in high schools, a lot of their teachers, they're just passing them through the system to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, you passed. Like they turn them into pass or fail. They're not, there's a lot of times students, they're not being challenged. They're not being taken seriously, because you also got like behavioral issues going on with students as well that's not being corrected. But that's something with a whole family thing, but that's a whole nother conversation. Then you also have in colleges, notice now with AI being more prolific, especially like say with ChatGPT, Gemini, you have those AI systems basically doing all of your work for you, and you're not learning anything. Yeah, you did the work. You didn't do the work. A computer did the work. And after, teachers will note it when you've been a teacher long enough, students' writing styles, how they write, how they talk, how they pronunciate things, how their sentence structures work. You'll know the difference between if a human made this or if a computer made it. And teachers are also frustrated by this. So like, you're not even trying. And so a lot of teachers end up giving up teaching because like, you're not even trying. And guess what? Students end up paying for that a decade later when they're in the real world, and pretty much they can't comprehend basic things. Like they don't know how to read. They don't know how to write. They don't know how to do basic arithmetics. They don't know context structure. They don't know how to form a real thought-provoking statement without regurgitating the same thing that they would see something online from somebody else who also made that up or regurgitated from someone else. It's a perpetual cycle that no one's really learning anything. You're just building a whole case of nothing. But in reality, it's like no one's really getting any real knowledge. It's like and also I feel like now, especially in the educational section of the world and with online, we're creating a culture of like pseudoscience or pseudo intellectuals, where everyone, if you just sound smart or you put a bunch of big words in a context that sounds alluring, people think you're like Mark Twain or Albert Einstein. No, you're not. Any real intellectual that challenges you, they're gonna see you right through that fragile logic and break it apart. And then the problem with that is like you built your whole persona, your life around that. And when it's breaking apart, people get agitated very easily. So pretty much you were not a real intellectual. You were just masquerading. And this is where I come in now, was like, I want to show people the value of an education, especially in the science and healthcare careers, because like it's essential. And you don't realize how many people you'll meet, the networking skills. College, it helps you breed your social skills, your networking skills, not just comprehension wise, but also how to interact with different cultures. Some people can just do that naturally. A lot of people can't do that. Most people are just used to sticking to who they know or what is familiar to them. Sometimes people need to be forced in a position where they can actually learn from another perspective, another culture that they may not have realized before that. And that's why, here's what thing I do. For the past 2 to 3 years, I've been going to two things I do. I go back to my old high school and my old colleges to do talks and seminars about my experience at St. Peter's, Rutgers, and as a medical laboratory science, and then also at my master's program. I talk about my experience. I talk about my work experience at New York Presbyterian Hospital, how it changed me, how it implemented me, and also the structure of my career. What do I need to do? What you guys can do to gain this career if you really want this, and also show them that there are other healthcare careers available to them if they're not sure. Like, because no offense, people who are in science, not everyone wants to be a doctor. Like, no offense, this is just my personal opinion. People always say, oh, I want to be a doctor. Yeah, most of you are not going to be doctors. I already know it, because like most of you don't have the mental fortitude to be that, because med school is a whole different beast. And now that too, the mental toll and the financial toll you end up taking, the average med school graduate comes out of school with $250,000 in debt. So that in the first 10 years, like the first few years of residency, you're just getting your feet wet and you're not really making much money. But when you become established, they actually start making big bucks. But at that point, do you really start tackling your student loans? or when you start realizing when you start building a family or something like that, that's when you realize, oh, I make money, but I don't have money. Like I'm not really tackling anything because like I waited so long now, and then now as I want to build something, I can't really do that as efficiently because I got all this backward truck stuff that I never dealt with for the past decade or so. So that's another thing too. So I go to seminars, talk to them about different careers that they are available and what type of mindset you need to develop in order to attain these careers, who you need to talk to and support. And also in my high school, I give $1,000 reward to any students who go for a STEM or healthcare related career, why you want this, and how are you going to use this career to help better your community. I've been doing that for the last 3 years now.
That's incredible because what you're trying to also expose on these speeches is letting them know between the theory and the practice.
Yes.
The wanting, the desire versus pursuing and having a plan. On your LinkedIn page, you have such a beautiful quote about a wish without a plan.
Yeah, a goal without a plan is just a wish. I learned that's in high school, and it's very true. A lot of people walk through life without any real direction. They're just in survivor's mode. They don't know what they really want. They just know enough to keep maintaining. And it's not until they get older that they realize, or if they have kids or something impactful or something forces them to change, that's when they start noticing like, okay, I need a plan, but I don't really, for like say the first 5 to 10 years, or even sometimes even 2 to 4 years, that you start to realize, okay, what am I doing? What do I have to do? Like I've been doing this for a certain amount of time and nothing has changed. What am I doing wrong? Because one, you never cultivated a plan. You didn't know what you really want. You didn't have a support system. And a lot of times that's why a lot of times people don't really go further because they don't have a support system. Third, you didn't implement a plan to where you would see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years. Because most people's goals and everything are very short term. It's good to have short term goals, but it's also think about where your life is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. But that's another thing that schools don't teach you, but this is something families have to teach you. Is like have lifelong goals that you can see yourself developing in the future. Develop a plan. Now, plans are not going to go according all the time. They're not. That's just life. But have a structured idea of where you're going to go in your life. That way, it's a much easier transition than just getting whiplash through life.
Yeah, and also I believe like also being aware that we need to be okay with suffering through the process of change.
Yes.
And aligning ourselves to what are the lessons that are going to make us resilient, because the whole point of suffering through a process or getting a win and a loss and vice versa is that we learn how to be resilient through certain pains, through certain emotion, through sadness. Like, for example, you gave a beautiful example about these how hard chemistry was for you. Yep. But yet it gave you a new skill set as much as a foundation of what chemistry looks like.
Yep.
But think about the value of resilience it provided and how your mindset was able to not only adapt, but also now say, well, we have to continue to strive regardless of how we feel, because at the end of the day, the reward is going to be sweeter because the sacrifice is much harder today. Exactly. And it might be painful, but if we endure enough, we not only will have more muscle brain, but also we will know how to tackle bigger things later on. And you're an example of that on being in the COVID environment. So let me ask you this: when do you notice your resilience was this fundamental tool for your career and your life?
I noticed it because when I had friends, coworkers, and even family members still surprised that I was still working at New York Presbyterian Hospital, because for the longest time I was what you would consider a scaredy cat kid. Whereas like I was very provoked, very timid, very shy, and New York is a bustling environment. So coming from straight out of New Jersey in a small town in in Irvington, New Jersey. They were very surprised the fact that I went to there, because like most people would have thought I would stay in a local hospital closer to where I live, like say University Hospital or North Beck, Israel, or because like that's what they thought I was going to end up at. But the fact that I chose NYP, I got in and I stayed there for a longer period. I've been there for 7 years now, and like they've seen the transition of who I am as a person. And it's like that made me realize like, oh, the fact that I was still going and going and going. I'm like, okay, all right, I maybe yes, this resilience, the work I put in, it really did pay off, because I'm still here. I'm still standing. As like my mother always used to say, you're the little engine that could. You may not be the smartest person in the room, but you're the one person in the room that works the hardest. And people notice that.
So they value your intentions and your effort.
Yes.
And this also showcases a chunk of your personality, and also how willingly you are to not only help yourself to provoke evolution, but I'm pretty sure those around you get contagious about the evolution you go through. How have you impacted coworkers, peers in your environment when they see the type of professional and the type of human being you are?
I feel like I make an impact on people to the point how I move and what I say to people, that it really starts to like you'll make a slight change that you would have probably never done initially on your own. And it's like my mom also used to say too, you're the type of person that people don't want to disappoint, because they see your work ethic, they see your personality. Like you're not a mean, malicious individual. You don't do so. Like when you manage to make you upset, that means you did something wrong. So like people want to be better around you, because that's just your character. But I remember, I don't know if you'll ever see this one day, but it's like I remember when I was doing one of my internships at one of the hospitals I used to do. It was at University Hospital. There was just one of my trainers who was there for like 9 years, and I was training in hematology. I was doing urines, but I was also researching what I wanted to do for my master's and everything. And she was looking like she was very impressed at the fact that I was going back. I planned on going back to school for my master's and everything. And I was younger than her. She was a little bit older than me, but she was also so young, but she's been there for 9 years and she didn't really do much of anything. So I would talk to her every now and then. And it's like, I'm not sure if it did, but I feel like I left a mark on her where it's like, it changed her life, because literally after I left, in a couple of months after, like a month or two after I'd left, one of my friends from my program told me, oh, she had left already. She had left, went back home and got married.
What did you say to her?
I just remember like talking about like similar to what we're doing now. Like, what do you want out of your life? Like, where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now? Because like you'll be surprised how many people no one has these conversations with. Not their parents, not their friends, not their peers. You'll be very surprised. There's a lot of people that don't have these real thought-provoking conversations with. Most people stay with the same people who have the same mindset as them. And it's like, I feel like I did challenge her to a point where it's like made her think like, what do I really want? Like, do I really want to stay here? She has, it's still in our career, but she switched to a different environment, because the environment, I did like the training, but like the environment was also not cultivating.
Mm. So it was it's hard to grow in a non-cultivating environment, and also providing opinions, ideas in an environment that you believe your word is not going to transcend, or your idea is not going to transcend, also definitely creates a lot of dismotivation. It definitely creates a lot of, I would say, lack of self-identity, which provokes imposter syndrome most times. Most people at workplaces face a lot of imposter syndrome, although they're competent enough. It's not because of what they believe about themselves, it's also what they see every day and how they're not taking serious at the workplace, and they don't feel relevant. All of these things create a resentfulness, an internal resentfulness in yourself, to yourself, because of the environment. I wanted to ask you this, because you come from Irvington, and how did Irvington shape part of your personality? Welcome back again, Ethicsville Podcast. where we explore human experiences. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do not forget our campaign. We are committed to transform your subscriptions into pro bono programs for mental health, so you can free somebody's mind from their traumas and help them heal just by subscribing. Very simple, and it costs absolutely nothing. Help us through this campaign, and we just want to pay forward, not only to our viewers, but for those that can't afford mental health services. Just remember, the statistics are real. Only 4 out of 10 Americans can afford mental health services. So help us change that. Hopefully, we can move the statistics and perhaps move it from 4 to 5 out of 10 people have good mental health services.
Let's start.
To the success of the Unity Brunch, may we continue moving forward together. Cheers!